Hello and welcome to the First Issue Club, your weekly comic book podcast. We're excited to be back talking about our favorite thing, comic books. In the club today, it's me, Mike D.
Me, Greg Lichtai.
And visitor, Andy Vargas.
Andy's been two in a row.
Two in a row.
That's certified club member territory.
You're really making a case for yourself there, Andy.
Yeah.
We're taking it back to the committee, reviewing all the applications.
The chair still has my ass print, so.
It's still warm from last time.
We've got some comic book news to talk about today, and we've got some recommends, but I've got a segment we're pulling back from the depths of the First Issue Club dungeons.
Mere 2 days after Halloween.
It's time for Tales from the Shop. Exactly right. Thank you, Crypt Keeper Greg.
You're welcome. These books are a real scream.
All right, so I've been dying to tell you of my comic book escapades while I was in Madison, Wisconsin.
Home of the cheese curd.
Exactly right.
Birth of the cheese curd.
And boy, did I eat my share of fried cheese curds, and they were absolutely delicious. I loved them.
Might I add, no cheese curds for Andy and I.
Yeah, I thought about stuffing my backpack full of loose cheese curds.
like just poplars from the
Exactly
Futurama.
Right. Exactly right. Didn't happen though. So I did check out a comic book shop, and I'm reluctant to say their name because I don't necessarily want to like dox them here.
Yeah, no problem. Shop redacted.
So we'll see. But a shop was recommended to me that had like the best quality, like back issue, back stock. They're one of those shops that prices at the door, so they don't have any prices on anything.
Ooh, already red flags.
Well, yeah, woof on that one.
They're like, we price very fairly, and there was a couple comics right away that I was just like, I want this, this, and this. And they were like, you'll probably have to come back in a couple days because we need to price these like comics. And I was like, it's 3 comic books.
A couple days? Google it.
Yeah, so they write like the date that they price things on the backing board. And then the guy who owns the shop does adequate research and then will like update what the price for that should be.
My God.
So most people who shop there, if you're not buying comics that are like new that week, then you're basically calling saying, hey, do you have these 5 issues? And then calling back later in the week and seeing what the price would be on them. And if they have them, you come in and purchase them at that point.
So antiquated.
So it's a very like old school, old style method, and everything was just like in stacks and stacks and stacks. I took some pictures I'll have to show you guys, but like there were like massive cabinets of vintage comics in bags, no boards, that were just stacked on top of each other, maybe like 200 issues high.
We'll post these on the Patreon.
This guy told me they had the biggest Silver Age collection in the Midwest.
That has the lowest rating.
Yeah.
And this shop, I'll tell you, this shop was like maybe a 10th of the size of the top floor of Clint's Comics. So I just have a hard time believing that. I think you go to a lot of old comic shops and they're like...
They boast.
Yeah, and they're like, we're the best, we're the biggest there is. And it's like, there's 2 shops in Kansas City that can fill a convention hall with a drop in the bucket of
unless
their
they
back
keep
issues.
it off-site somewhere.
Yeah, that could be the case where they keep it off-site. But if you think if you had that big of a collection,
you'd show it off.
You'd boast it in a store where people could actually shop it.
And you
purchase
wouldn't
it.
need 2 or 3 days to price a comic because you'd have an online repository of your inventory.
That shit is flooring me right now. I that is so wild.
But I did say that I was like, I'm looking for some Miss Marvel key books. And he was like, which ones? And he like turned around and came back with like a stack of like issues 1 through 20. And
Okay.
And he
of what series? You're like,
had-
Jesus Christ.
he had just happened to have bought
a collection.
of Miss Marvel stuff, so it was like right on hand. So I picked up like the 3 issues out of the series that I was missing.
Sure.
And was like, great, having a wonderful time here already. But
Cheese curds still on your breath.
he had to get on the phone with like the owner and see if they could price them quickly for me because I was like leaving.
That makes me want to scream.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, how do you get anything sold?
Hey, Home Depot. I need like a pallet of 2x4s. Yeah, come back next week. We'll have a price for
Love
you.
them priced out.
Well, here was the thing too, that there was one or two of the books in the stack had been priced like a couple months back, and I'm like, how much are these books changing in price
Yeah.
from like 2 months ago? And if anything, the market has like
Dipped.
gone down every month, like over the last like 4 or 5 months. So
Yeah.
if you're selling me what they were priced at a couple months ago, you're doing great, my man.
Yeah. No, honestly.
Okay, so in any case, this place, teeny tiny, but stacked to the gills with books that you could like never peruse through because they're stacked vertically. And then tons of like Fantagraphics hardbacks and like trades, and just like this would be a place where if you were looking for like a weird Michael DeForge comic that's out of print or something, they've got like tons of hardbacks.
Sure.
So that was really cool. So I'm looking through all this stuff while he's on the phone pricing this stuff. And ultimately he gets,
With headquarters, apparently.
ultimately he gets off the phone and he's just like, the place up the street used to be owned by the mob. And
I love where this is headed.
And I was like, the mob, huh? And he was like, yeah, that's right. And
The cheese curd mafia.
and I'm like, okay. I was like, is the mob still even like a thing anymore? And he was like, yeah, they're working in the shadows now.
Oh my God.
And he goes, yeah, those is in the background. I hesitated even saying that on the podcast, but I myself am Italian.
Yes.
Given I'm like third generation, so like I view myself as an American, but
an Italian American.
But he brought up the mob thing so randomly that I was like, is this guy's racism sensor so acute that he identified me as Italian,
like immediately,
and then brought up the mob to see how I would react, and then like
God.
threw out some antiquated slurs,
right?
And like hit me with the two big ones,
right? the real heavy hitters, and back to back.
And so I was just like, wow, yeah, I'll get my books and check out. So because he had some books that I wanted, he priced them, and I was just like blown away by it. And so I hand him my card, and my like ears are still ringing. I'm kind of like, this is one of those situations where, like the bomb goes off in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
like everything's blurry,
ringing.
and there's just you can't like hear anything, and you're just like ringing for
someone's
a second.
legs are blown off.
And that was like me in the moment. And he takes my card and he runs it, and then he's like, name on that card? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, what is it? And I go,
oh my God,
it's Italian. And he goes, yeah. And then I go, yep, the Stasi. And just like double down on like, it's Italian.
What the hell?
And like I could tell he was like coming at me, and the way he was like, yep, about my card and my name was very much like, I got it right. I confirmed, I identified you when you walked in. And then he starts saying, well, the Italians have like really advanced in crime over the last so many years.
Holy
and I was like,
shit.
In my head, I'm like, is this supposed to be an apology to me? Telling me that like the Italians are better at crime than they used to be? Like,
God.
Being Italian isn't like 1-to-1 with like the mob.
You people got some pretty good sauces.
And then he says, and this part I'm not going to repeat, but I'll skip some of the sentence. He was like, the Italians have left the low-level crime for the blanks, blanks, and blanks.
Oh, my dear God.
And he drops another 3 that you're just like, whoa.
Just like unafraid and just like totally, this isn't his normal conversation speech.
So at that point, I was just like, all right, and just like turned around and left. And I'd already bought the books at that point. This was as we were like out the door.
Sure.
And in the moment, I was just like, I couldn't sleep that night.
Of course not.
And this was at like 2 in the afternoon. So like hours later, I was just grinding my teeth at night being like, should I have like yelled at this guy? Should I have asked for my money back? Should I have like left the store on the first sign of it? And I was just like, I ran through all the things that I could have done or should have done. And ultimately I'm like, I was the bigger person. Like I didn't start a fight. Like I could, and who knows, like someone who's going to say that sort of stuff is an unhinged person, right?
Yeah, completely.
Like not a rational person. So like, who knows where it would have gone if I would have like yelled at the guy. But it is taking up some real estate in my headspace. It's funny to go to Wisconsin and be like, even I'm not white enough for Wisconsin, and I'm like,
I mean,
so white.
Yeah, I mean,
you're the wrong kind of white.
I'm the wrong kind of white for Wisconsin, apparently.
Holy shit!
And I was like, man, it could be because in downtown Madison, it was like very hip, very liberal. They've got
what was the name of this shop?
Nice.
Well, okay, so I don't want to say it because this guy didn't own the shop.
Well, to the owner of this shop, if anyone from Madison can figure it out, you have fucking shitty employees.
If you're from Madison, you'll know what this shop is.
Yeah, Robert E. Lee Comics.
Yeah.
On Segregation Boulevard.
Yeah. Let's go Brandon Comics and Games. Good God.
But I'll say I think Madison is an incredibly diverse city.
Okay.
And part of me wonders if you just have this like old base of grumpy white people who see the landscape of Madison changing and are like uber racist and uber sensitive to anybody who's like the slightest hue of olive. I was just like, I've never experienced anyone like no one's actually identified like Italian and came after me like that.
Yeah.
So it was just
that dude's racist radar is
like unmatched
beauty, I guess, if you want to put it that way. What a piece of garbage.
Purely honed. Yeah, it's like his superpower.
You should have been like, oh my God, I dropped my match like in the store and then just locked him in there. Man, I'm sorry you had to go through that. That is wretched.
I like this. I don't even know how to like pose or tell the story because it's definitely I don't want it to be like a woe is me thing because
no,
I don't experience racism. This was like a encounter that was not dangerous, and it was just somebody using some language towards me that I found like shocking and surprising. So, you know, that's not what I'm looking for out of this conversation. It was more that just like,
well, it's kind of a wake up call, even in our community.
Sure, it
exists.
I bet a lot of the stacks in that store were Cyberfrog. You know?
Yeah. I bet there was some like really weird European in quote comic books that are like pro. Well, I think we all know what I'm gonna say.
So that was my spooky, scary tales from the shop.
Yeah, holy crap.
Yeah.
And so you just left with, like, did the guy say goodbye or like, you know, get out of here? Like, it seems like.
No, I think he kind of felt like he had done what he had wanted to do, which was make us feel uncomfortable and shitty.
He's playing like bigotry chess, and he was like, "Aha, checkmate, got it."
Yeah,
like
you really got me.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
garbage
man.
person.
Yeah,
I think his whole goal was to make us feel small on the way out. It's like we'd spent our money. And then it was like...
What a weird,
yeah,
deranged power move.
Yep.
If true. Yikes.
Totally.
All right, well, fuck that shop.
Yep.
Whatever it may be. I'm going to have to probably Google it and cause some trouble.
Check out those Yelp reviews. I bet they're stellar.
The reviews were some of the worst for a shop in Madison.
Oh, okay.
So... I'm guessing they...
For the right reasons, it seems like.
Yeah.
Not because they didn't have the particular Hulk issue he wanted. Well, pivoting.
Yes.
Something that has maybe not equally as angered me, but taken over a massive part of my life. Marvel Snap has been released into the game sphere.
Yeah, this is something where I feel like it's transcending a level of popularity that I would not expect a deck builder phone game to really do. Obviously, anything attached to Marvel is like going to be a little more popular than typical, but people are asking me about this game that I like know aren't comic book people and I know are maybe casual gamers at best. So it's like really capturing pop culture right now.
It is, from what I've read, one of the most accessible and easily playable card game, like mobile card games that's out right now.
Well, because your decks are very small, right?
Like I think a max of
it's like 12 cards. Or something.
Yeah, that seems like really small in
it
comparison.
Is, and it keeps the game moving.
Yeah,
and it forces you to really carefully pick your deck. Sorry, the roof's falling down in the Fudge Mansion. I started playing it basically when it came out of beta, and I've been going hard on it. And
same.
It is equally fun and infuriating because, I mean, you think because like each location, you have like 3 locations you can put cards down or whatever, and each location has a different ability or a different attribute attached to it, and so that can either help the cards in your hand or hurt them. It's completely random, and you think you build a good deck, and you just get completely fucked by the locations and the opposite player.
The thing that gets me is this titular mechanic, snapping, is basically like you or your opponent can snap at any point and double the potential like winnings, right?
Or loss.
And what irritates me is when it's like turn 2 and your opponent's like snap, because they're basically saying like, nah, you suck, I'm gonna beat you.
Yeah, I got this.
And then, so of course...
It's like doubling down in blackjack.
Yeah, so of course I have to snap back and double down.
Yes.
And then if I win, it's like, you fool.
Yeah.
But...
when you lose...
when I lose, I want to throw my phone into the
there
wall.
goes those 8 cubes down the drain. I have snapped on round 1 at least 5 times.
Sure.
And lost every single time. So, your boy has learned his lesson. And you wait for all 3 locations to be revealed. But I mean, have you played it yet, Mike?
No, I haven't.
Do you like deck building games?
No.
Like Magic or Pokemon or anything like that?
I don't, and this is something where like even I've thought about playing it just because so many people are talking about it.
So I tried the Magic the Gathering mobile app, and I wanted to blow my brains out, and I immediately deleted it. It was so convoluted. It was so, out of my realm of understanding, and Marvel basically made, deck building game for dummies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they took, so this is Vargas, and I play Magic, and I played Hearthstone, and I play...
Yes, it's compared to the Hearthstone a lot.
Yeah, so Hearthstone took Magic and made it more accessible, and then Marvel Snap took Hearthstone and made it even more accessible.
Right, so like dolphins could play it.
Well,
it is that accessible.
Yeah, but it's one of those games that's like it's super easy to jump into, but really hard to like master, and there is an element of luck to it, obviously. But I love it.
Each match is like maybe 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, you can play like 5 games on the toilet.
Yeah, so depending on what you're doing. But like if you're waiting in line or something, you can play a quick game and, be done with it.
This is the only place I play Mario Kart is on my toilet.
Yeah, there you go.
Damn it, Peach. Everything okay in there, Mike?
Many races have been won.
I mean, I really enjoy it. It doesn't cost you anything to download it, to give it a shot if you don't like it.
Is it a freemium game, though?
It is a freemium game. Vargas and I, like, day of, we're already texting one another because there is, like, a season pass that lasts for, like, a month or something.
Yeah, mid-month to mid-month or something.
And you can rank up in that and get free items. And then to a certain level, it's, like, premium items. Like, you have to pay $10 and it unlocks the premium levels.
Yep.
And I've gotten to the levels where I'm just like, it skips every other for your free upgrade or whatever. And I've texted Andy immediately, just like, please stop me from buying fucking premium on the stupid mobile app so I can get the Miles Morales card variant like a dipshit.
Do you foresee a future wherein the game becomes inaccessible to people who are not paying for it?
Well, so that's the
No.
that's the nice part is like all the the stuff you pay for is all cosmetic.
Yes.
All the cards are available
Oh.
to everyone for free.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, I have not encountered yet a time when I just got like blown out by somebody
No.
because they had all the good cards.
Yeah, and all the cards are pretty equally balanced of like, there's not one card that's just like, play this and you win automatically.
Yeah.
And so like,
I've seen online though
mhm.
that there is a leader card that some guy scored like at a crazy amount of points off of.
Oh, like the 3,000 points or whatever.
I don't know.
I'm wondering if that is a prank because
Really?
because all the cards that I've seen and all the locations, even with their abilities or attributes attached to them, I don't think there's any way to get over 100 points on a single location.
But even if you do, that's one location out of the 3, and you have to win 2 to win the game.
Sure, yeah.
So like,
because
if you could get 1,000,000 points on one location, you would still lose the game because you didn't.
Yeah, you have to win like 2 out of 3 of the
Yeah.
locations. So if
Okay.
you focus solely on one area, you kind of boned yourself.
Now I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys are enjoying Marvel Snap.
Well, that's a loose term.
We're playing it.
We're playing it, so I can figure out how to break it.
Imprisoned by.
You see?
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. But I will say this: I am proud of myself for not spending any money yet. But I got to get drunk eventually, and
There it is.
that little push button is gonna get activated sooner or later.
I do pay, to my shame. I do pay for Mario Kart on my phone.
What do you get? New tracks or new tires?
You get like new characters. You level up in the characters, and you get a lot more of like the various types of in-game currency.
Oh, like
And
yeah. Mhm.
This helps keep the game competitive to a point where it's like colossally more fun. They found a really great way to say like, hey, you can play the game for free, and we're going to match opponents to your talent level.
Mhm.
So you never really pass a threshold wherein you're playing people who are just going to dominate you, right?
Yeah, that's
So
what
it's-
Snap does.
So it is great on the free scale. But at the same time, if you want to like keep climbing the tiers and reach those like higher rewards and higher thresholds,
Right.
then it's like you pay, it's $5 a month.
Hey, does it
That's
bring you
fine.
joy?
It brings me I spend so much time on this
That's all that matters.
that it's like,
There's no shame here.
it's the hours to money ratio of enjoyment that I get out of this thing is unbelievably in my favor, in my opinion.
Yeah, well then you're good to go.
Yeah.
You're totally fine then, brother.
All right. I feel validated. Thank you.
Well, I guess that's also another bonus for Marvel Snap. It's like you can still play the game without purchasing anything.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's all cosmetic upgrades, and because like you don't spend real money to get in-game money to buy like the Hulk card or like the
Right.
Black Panther card.
But I did buy all the Dan Hip cards I can get my hands on.
I got one. I got the Iron Man one, but
I got Hawkeye and I got Blue Marvel right now.
I have been
Ooh.
seeing a handful of artists selling their art
That's
from Marvel Snap.
what's gonna get me is Marvel hired like artists
Yep.
to do
Mhm.
sets.
Yep.
And Dan Hip was one of them.
yeah,
And-
Art Germ is another.
Yeah.
Right.
Liefeld.
Ryan Gonzalez did
Yep.
a handful of them, or is it
Mhm.
Rain?
Rain Gonzalez. Yeah.
And hers were beautiful. I love her art.
Yeah.
But she sold them like months ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if she would have waited for the game to launch to sell these after people have like seen the card several times
Oh,
and
yeah.
like got hype on the game, they could have sold for so much more money. I wish she would have waited.
Sometimes you don't know your own worth
Mm-mm.
until it's too late.
Right.
Happened to Peach. Happened to Rain.
Yep.
Who will it happen to next? You know who it's not going to happen to? Rob Liefeld. Have you guys seen this? He is.
Yeah.
He has paired with Heritage Auctions, which is a like very prestigious auction house.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Rob Liefeld, I guess recently when he was going through old folders or whatever, found like preliminary sketches or rough drafts of Deadpool before he showed up in New Mutants.
Christ on a cracker.
And so it's 2 pages that are for sale
Mm-hmm.
at this auction house. I checked today. There's still 15 days left to bid on them.
Yeah.
One is $24,000 and the other is $23,000.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Wow.
You got 15 days. We all know the auctions don't get hot until the last hour.
Yeah, you got to eBay snipe them
So
at Heritage Auctions.
they're not bad drawings, but they definitely are like
They're definitely prelims.
rough sketches
They are
of like
very-
a page layout.
Yeah,
or
they are
something.
a lot of loose pencils and then like sketchy inks on top of them.
But you could tell that it's Deadpool or that it's supposed to be Deadpool.
Yes, and Cable.
And Cable, right. So I guess my question is, or the reason I bring this up, how much do you think these things are going to go for? Because recently, the pages for the first black Spider-Man suit sold for like upwards of $1.5 million.
For prelims, there's no way these get
Yeah,
anywhere close to that.
yeah.
If you would have asked me before you threw out the 24,000 number,
Mm-hmm.
I would have said 10 grand each.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't have thought they'd even cross this threshold. Now that I know where they are with like 10 or 15 days left, I would say like 30 maybe. They can't go much higher.
So
I bet these sell for in the hundreds of thousands.
that is bonkers for what
only
they look
because
like.
of the
One
the
of them
character,
has a coffee stain on it.
the movie hype,
Yeah.
all that is mixed in.
It is the context of them being prelims like before Deadpool was actually drawn for like
yeah,
it was just like, oh, that you can see the character like coming together in Rob's head,
Mm-hmm.
like the character design. Like that is pretty cool. But it's not something that you would like display, in my opinion. Like when you look at it, it's like
yeah.
Absolutely. If you're like a Saudi prince, yes, it is. You buy that and you put it in your bathroom, and
to me, it's more like at this point, some of these collectibles are more like the Bitcoin bro comic book sort of people that it's
Yeah.
like a dick swinging thing
this 100%
that
is.
like I spent so much money and yeah, I'm the one who has those.
This is
It's more about
yeah.
how much money you spend and like feeling high off of that than
This
the
is
actual
like
thing you're buying sometimes.
This is like some NFT trader buys this,
Yeah.
and then tries to flip it,
This is a great time to sell something like this.
yeah, or turns it into an NFT, like the sketch dances or something, and turns into a Bored Ape, or I don't know. But
I bet they don't go. I bet they don't hit $100,000 for both.
okay, so you mean combined, or
Yeah, combined.
okay, so you're
I bet
saying
they don't.
I guarantee combined they do.
I don't know, man.
If we're at 26 now, and they've been on sale for like 2 to 3 days, and it still has 15 days to go. Okay, we'll check back in 15 days, and
We'll see.
when I'm triumphant,
Yeah, then we have to buy them for you. Okay, we get it.
I've already. Who do you think the 26,000 is? You don't even want to know what my reserve for these prelims are.
I just bought a Jim Toe page.
Yeah, you did.
It's a sample page. It's not like an actual published thing, but it's Captain Marvel attacking some Marvel zombies. We got zombies of Captain America, Spider-Man, and Wolverine.
Dude.
And she does a big sick punch and she screams. It's hand lettered on the page, and she screams "No more zombies" as a reference to No More Mutants.
Right.
And there's a big punch and explosion at the end. It's a pretty sick page.
That's pretty awesome.
And you paid 15,000 for that. So
Sure.
I mean,
It was $180.
Mhm.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is magnificent. This is what you can get something so magnificently beautiful and polished and done
for under 200.
For under $200. Like the idea of spending that much on like a rough sketch is like tough for me to swallow.
Yeah, you can buy like
Hold on, you're saying rough sketch like it's nothing. Like this is an iconic character's
Yeah.
basically like birth, or like the primordial pool that it came out of,
Yeah,
and like
okay.
he's
Let me-
but no, he's transcended pop culture now, and he's everywhere. Like this
Okay.
isn't just like
If this were a character design sheet and it was like Rob Liefeld's initially drawing like everything, he's got like arrows to the character and he's like patches here and patches here and like
no feet
has
and underline
has swords and is like drawing different swords on the page and like
Uh-huh.
has one circled that ended up being the actual sword. Like something like that. Amazing, unreal, right?
Yeah.
This is like I figured out the design
Mm-hmm.
and
It's a boy.
it's got Spider-Man eyes and Spider-Man body, but there's swords in the back. And I'm trying to just figure out the composition of the page at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put it to you this way, right?
Uh-huh.
How much would you pay for a cocktail napkin that Stan Lee owned, and it said
Hulk question mark?
it said arachnid boy crossed out, and then it said like spider dude crossed out, and then it said Spider-Man with a question. No hyphen though.
But like, is it signed by him? Just like
No, it's not signed.
But like on the bottom it says, "Is this anything?"
yeah.
Jack.
Ask Jack. On
Is
Monday.
this anything?
Yeah.
I'd pay about $500 for that. To be honest,
I would pay more.
Really?
I would outbid you on that for sure.
that should be $23,000. That
Yeah.
is so funny.
Yeah.
It's got a coffee ring on it and everything.
Yeah, but that's basically what we're talking about here. It's like some
on the back it says, "Should Excelsior be my catchphrase?"
right.
That's incredible. Okay, so I see what you guys are saying. It when put that way, it does sound like a big grift that Liefeld is like trying to put off.
I don't think he's grifting anybody. He put these out in the world and people are paying what they want to pay for them.
Yeah.
It's auction style, right?
Yeah, yeehaw, auction style.
So open auction style.
That's how I say it at an auction when I want to bid on something. Yeehaw! And they go, "Sir, please just raise your marker. That's all we need." And I say, "Tut tut. You will get yeehaw from me."
I'm the one with the money.
Yeah. If I'm paying for it, I'm saying yeehaw.
Yeah, I don't know where else to go on that.
Okay, so the where we landed was
We'll
under $50,000 for both, which I think is ludicrous, but we'll check back in 15 days.
Okay.
I'll set a reminder on my phone.
All right, sounds good.
You guys covered a book, you and Budget King did, a while back called Barbaric, about an axe that came to life, talks, major hit for Vault.
Yeah.
It has recently been announced through Vault that they're creating like a barbaric universe. They're coming out with more one-offs and like 2 prose novels and like another ongoing series releasing in 2023. Their Vault is really doubling down on Barbaric because it's been such a gigantic hit for such a small publisher. I say small, I mean they're doing great, but are you guys, interested in that? Are you guys excited about it? I loved this series when it came out. I thought it was a kind of a fresh take on it all.
I will buy subsequent barbaric things. They did a one-shot already.
Yes, they did.
Called Harvest Blade, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And this character is so fun. The comic has an kind of like epic, big feel to it. It seems like primed for this sort of universal take. It's very Conan the Barbarian-esque. There's just a lot of fun stories to be told in this tonality.
With the talking axe, I
Yeah.
mean, where can you go wrong?
It's just fun and funny and like light while still feeling epic.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a good balance of like fantasy stuff.
Right.
for
And
me.
I think sometimes different artists and different writers are going to come in on the one-shots to kind
that's
of
great.
make it a little bit refreshing.
That makes it even more fun.
Yeah, so I'm actually really pumped for it. Just like you, I read the one-offs in the original series, and I had a really good time reading it.
Well, I like the idea of doing one-shots every once in a while, or other miniseries,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to what the Radiant Black crew did at Image,
Mm-hmm.
where they had like this story that got big really quick, and then they introduced like two or three other tie-in books
Mm-hmm.
that were like all happening at the same time. Some of them were ongoing, some of them were not.
Yeah.
And it just became so much
Yes.
that I had to stop reading all of it because I was like, am I not following it anymore?
Mhm.
Do I need to read Radiant Red to understand what's going on in this story? It just became way too confusing.
So you would have enjoyed like an annual size Radiant Red as a tie-in to the supermassive verse or whatever.
I think so.
Okay.
Oh, and not to say that they can't tell those stories with those characters, but like it would have been nice to say like, a year from now, after it's kind of like settled its toes in, then we're gonna introduce like a subsequent mini, or maybe the Radiant Black storyline takes a break while we get Radiant Red storyline for a minute. It was just so much investment on a story that was so brand new.
Yes.
The thing that it makes me think of is the Grant Morrison series that they did with Dan Mora, Klaus.
Oh right, yeah.
Because they did, and I'm sure I'm going to get this wrong, like the original 8-issue series, and then I think the next year they did another 4-issue or something, and then basically they stuck to one-shots, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same kind of characters, the same kind of feel, same kind of universe, but it, to your point, Mike, it had time to breathe, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't launch the Klaus verse, and we're not talking about Klaus versus the Tooth Fairy, or whatever.
Well, now hold on.
I mean, Grant, get on it. I'll read it. But yeah, if you rush all this barbaric stuff out the door just to strike while it's hot, you're going to lose your audience in 6 months because, okay, which barbaric 6 comics do I need to read this month to understand the universe's story?
They did. So the way they kept it fresh before they announced the barbaric verse, that is the last time I'm going to say that. Like they released the main line, and then it got super hot, and then they announced like 1 or 2 one-shots for the rest of the year, just to kind of like whet your appetite or like not give you too much.
Yeah, don't forget about us.
And then last week they just dropped like the timeline for 2023, just like. Here's what's coming out. Here's the month.
Just for Barbaric or for the entire publisher?
The Barbaric verse. Like,
okay.
God damn it, I broke my own rule and I said it again. That was a trap. They released it, and like that's when all the Barbaric books and tie-ins are going to be released.
All right, cool.
So you can kind of like map out your budget, I guess.
Yeah, that's another thing for like an independent comic, to ask you to buy so many like series that are overlapping with each other.
Yeah.
Like it's tough. So many people who buy comics, and this isn't everybody, but I think a lot of people who buy comics have their mainstays, and it's harder to give a chance to newer books and like keep yourself invested because you're budgeting to buy the Hulk and Spider-Man and even smaller indie books or books on smaller indie publishers that have been going on for a while. So if you're on book 5 of something and they've already got a mini series starting, it's just a lot to ask people to pay. Especially
when you're somebody like Volt, like they're not going to get James Tynion to come and write a barbaric one shot, and like they should try and do
100% they should.
But what are the odds that that's going to happen? You're going to have indie comic people writing these, and it's harder to get an audience to jump on a creative team they don't know.
Yeah,
just because it has barbaric on the cover.
Yeah.
Did you see? You guys may have saw this, that Tiny Onion is hosting a Kickstarter right now
for a movie
to get his movie going.
Yeah,
which
I think it's a short.
It's like a short film, which I haven't backed it yet because I've kind of backed off Kickstarters, but I would be really interested to see what that looks like because it's his script. I don't think he's directing or doing anything like that. But
I hope not.
He wrote it.
Elsa Charrier from
Love Everlasting
has done the storyboarding for it.
Yeah. Which I would love to get my hands on some of those. That'd be so sick.
Yeah, there's a handful. I think it's one of the tiers.
Of course it is.
You can get some of the actual storybooks.
Okay, so it is because I did look at the tiers, and like if you pay $5,000, like you get to go to the set and like maybe be in the movie, and it's like for $5,000, I better be like leading man in this fucking film.
I always think when I see stuff like that, it's like that's really trusting on the creator's parts.
Oh,
because what if I look like me, right? And the only thing that I have to get that ticket into your movie is $5,000.
5Gs?
Like,
I can get a loan.
I have my personality and my face. That is a huge mistake on your part, James.
I'm not too homely to get a loan.
Yeah, exactly.
I think anytime that there's a tier that is like so high that it's like, come meet me and like hang out,
Yeah.
and we'll get drinks. It's just like they're secretly being like, please, no one pledge that much.
It's like they're always like $10,000. Like,
Yeah, right. You just have to be like, oh no, what is this gonna be?
what rich idiot paid $10,000 to go get hot dogs with me?
This one right here, baby.
You're like ketchup or mustard on your hot dogs, James.
If you have that much disposable income, like I just don't know what that says about you.
Be a sponsor of our show.
Like, are you like such a high functioning person that you've accumulated that much money that you can like get rid of, or are you just like
Trust fund.
a
Yeah.
psychopath?
No, I did, and then I gave it to you guys, and now I'm here.
Yeah. Andy signed on to our Kickstarter. He paid $20,000, and now he gets to be on 6 episodes a year.
Yeah,
And he is already burned through 2.
you fools. Figure if I tank 6 in a row, then I can just take over the podcast.
Greggy's never gonna leave us alone after this.
Nope.
He's sleeping in your driveway.
He knows where my house is now.
That's all. Like, oh wait, nope. I have one more news thing. Poppy,
Yes,
one of our favorite singers,
Poppy. I'm Poppy.
has a new graphic novel coming out on the publisher Z2.
Is that her second one?
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
the third.
Third one.
Oh, third, yeah. Third one. It's called Poppy Presents Tit Tat. It revolves around Lydia, a teenager with mysterious psionic powers.
Yeah, it sounds like a kind of Sailor Moon-y sort of thing,
Mhm.
maybe.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
it looks cool. Poppy's fucking rad. Like,
Yep.
let's just get that out there. She's awesome.
I'll say the first couple are very heavy. This one sounds more fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think her first couple were like a metaphor for like trauma she experienced at a young age. And then now we've told that story.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the fun comic book stuff.
Let's have some fun with some light trauma.
So just trigger warning if you go out and buy like
oh, yeah, totally.
Poppy graphic novels based on our recommendation. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
But very cool. I love Poppy, and I'm very excited about this. If you don't know Z2, I would say peruse the other books they have, because one of the things they specialize in is graphic novels written by musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a handful of other ones from interesting people
There's a ton of them.
on that side.
Weird Al is getting one this week.
Is he really?
That's not a joke.
Yeah.
He's getting one. It's like an autobiography
Mhm.
about his journey through the music industry. I think Manchester Orchestra has one or something along that line
Well,
of
so-
bands.
David Bowie's son has one with Alex DeCampi.
I own the Dio one, which is like
Oh, nice.
the story of the album Holy Diver. I
Cool.
know Anthrax has one. I want to say Kiss, of course.
Oh,
has
well,
one.
Kiss has a ton of comics already.
But they've got a ton of those music-based ones, and they're all very expensive.
Are they really?
Oh, dude. Yeah. They're pretty. I think it's $30 just for the regular trade.
Yeah, they are pretty
Oof.
pricey. And then they do upsell tiers.
Ultra collectors, ultra version.
Yeah. The whole thing with like the slipcase that they come in.
Oh,
and then
okay.
if you go up another tier, it's like you get a signed book plate. And since they're like celebrities already, right? Like those things get colossally expensive quick.
Did you know that they had to recall some Kiss comic books back in the 80s? Because, like, I don't know if this is true or not, but they were, like, thinly laced with cocaine. Like, the edge of the pages were to, like, it became, like, super addicting
No
to, like, read Kiss
way.
comics.
That can't be true.
That can't be true.
It was on the internet. It's got to be true.
Oh, well, if it was on the internet.
I know the blood thing was true.
Yes, the ink had their,
Had was it just Gene Simmons' blood?
yes. He consented to it.
They
Stan Lee
mix-
did not when he had his blood stolen.
Yeah. Yikes.
In any
Bummer.
case, yeah. Yikes.
Anybody else have any news, or did I
The only
bogart it?
only thing I had is that the Jim Zub got announced as the writer for the Conan the Barbarian comics that are
Yeah.
coming out on Titan.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just saw it a couple days ago. I don't know if that's like older news or newer news, but
It's still fresh.
I I was excited about that just because they've got, sometimes you see things get sold off to publishers like a Titan who does a lot of like existing IP. I don't know if they do the Blade Runner comic, but like something like that would traditionally be in like a Titan's wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And sometimes things like cool IP and cool things that would be cool comics go to like die on these publishers that like don't always attract the best talent. And it's just exciting to see someone who's like kicked ass on Conan the Barbarian before is still going to be writing it at Titan. So,
well, I'm excited for it. Hopefully it does well.
Yeah, same.
I was shocked when Marvel gave up the ownership of Conan.
And this was something I didn't know until recently because I thought they'd like lost it in like a bidding war or something. But apparently they decided like we're going to part ways because they weren't selling enough Conan comics. Was it Marvel's decision?
Seriously?
I read the other day that it was Marvel's decision to.
Okay, you guys are sounding shocked. When's the last time you picked up a Conan comic?
Jason Aaron was writing.
Yeah,
them.
Man.
That's not the question I asked. When's the last time you picked up a Conan book?
I mean, I read Serpent War and
Same.
Savage Avengers.
Yep.
With Conan in it.
And then I was buying the King Conan books.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I got past issue like 8 or so.
Mm-hmm. I bought the first dozen or so issues of the title, the Conan.
Yeah.
Maybe Marvel just bought it as like an experiment.
Well, they had
it and lost it and then got it back. Yeah. I don't know.
I got the impression that who is it? Herbert? Whoever. What's his name?
Trimp?
No, the estate of the guy.
Oh, Conan.
Mr. Conan. The John Carter of Mars guy, whatever. The guy who wrote the books.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They are always just looking for the highest price.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe it was Marvel's decision to not beat Titan.
Yeah, right.
At, that money, because obviously Disney could own DC if they wanted to, but they don't want to pay for it. So,
I mean, why would you buy a burning ship? Oh, I said it.
Because it's cheap.
Was that a comment about DC?
I don't know.
Come on.
I'm better. I know. I'm better than that. Andy, did you have any news to unload?
No, I'm here for the second.
The second part?
The second one in a row.
Talking about...
Second.
And you're packing up. Okay, bye, Andy.
Yeah, I'll see you guys next week for number 3.
I was going to say Cody Ziegler is writing the new Miles Morales comic that's coming out in December.
Yes.
And I just saw an article that there's going to be a new villain. So if you're big into Marvel first appearances, pick up the new run of Spider-Man Miles Morales in December.
Is it the conservative right?
Too close.
The character's called Rabble.
Rabble?
I think rock-themed.
Why rock-themed?
You've got me, man.
Rabble. Rabble.
Because he's a rabble-rouser.
Yeah. Rock-themed. It's the Thing's cousin, Rabble. I love Cody Ziegler, and
yes, so do I.
I'm super pumped for this.
Ditto.
I'm glad we're in agreement.
I'm gonna take my $4 and use it to buy a copy.
I'm gonna take my $8 and use it to buy 2 copies.
You're kidding.
That's how much more I am excited for it than you.
Well, maybe I'll do the same.
Let's move
maybe
on.
We'll have
Let's move on.
4 copies between us.
Shut the fuck up. Let's move on to recommendations.
I read a first issue called Crashing that came out like a month ago on IDW.
Right. Yeah.
But we didn't get a chance to cover it then, so I'm covering it now. This book's by Matthew Klein. I don't know anything else that they've written, but the book really caught me because it's got so many things going on, and it balances them well. It kind of like stars a hospital worker. I don't know if it's a doctor or nurse, but it's got like that hospital worker burnout, which is like a hot topic right now. The lead has like an addiction problem and has like been 7 years sober and like constantly tempted by like everything around her in the hospital.
Oh, sure, yeah.
It's got this. It does have superheroes, so you live in a world wherein
Oh,
superheroes are
interesting.
getting hurt and brought to the hospital.
Nice.
While she's in the hospital, she's got this like Cyclops type character, and she's like going to check on him and like looks to see if his like irises are dilated and like eye beams come out, and they're like, "Oh shit!" So that was interesting. There's kind of like a Civil War Marvel thing going on, wherein there's politicians who are like, we have to know the identities of all these people, and we have to like shut them down because the laws can't apply to them.
Yeah.
And she's also married to like campaign manager who's like running one of these campaigns to like shut down the villain stuff.
Oh.
But the real story here is that she's saving like superheroes in the hospital by day, and then she's somehow like indebted to like the villain world, and by night she's going to like a different like underground practice and helping save the villains' lives too.
So like that's kind of like criminals would hire like doctors to come to like a butchery after hours to like sew up their guys that have been like shot or something.
Exactly right. But she's doing it on superhuman scale. Yeah.
Kick ass.
What's the book called?
Crashing.
Yeah.
Who's publishing it? Do you know?
IDW.
IDW.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It was just for an independent book that had so many themes like interweaving. Like when I sat back and was like, what am I going to tell you guys about this book and like what it's about? And I started like writing down like the high level plot points, and I was kind of like, damn. This is
a bop.
Yeah, there's like so many things going on here, and it was written so it read so effortlessly.
Yeah.
That I was just impressed that it was just doing so much.
Oh hell yeah.
So I right now I think there's like 6 issues scheduled for release. I'm not sure if it's going to go beyond that.
It's crazy that like cuz when most books try to handle all of that in a story, like when they try to juggle all that, something falls off and just like doesn't like pan out, but like sounds like that writing team and the art teams just kind of really figured it out and how to make it like a cohesive story.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, especially like, and I say it's sometimes tougher to do in indie comics because you're not introduced to that world yet. You know what I mean? It's like you're doing all this complicated stuff, and you have to like introduce the rules of the world that we're existing within at the same time.
Yeah.
Because as we find, when there aren't rules, then there are no stakes.
Elon Musk can buy Twitter.
Sure. Anyone else got to recommend?
Yeah. I read Vanish #2, the Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman 90s comic. Starts out, issue 2 starts out with 9/11.
Is that real?
That is real.
Oh man.
They're like transport, like it's a flashback, obviously. In like this school of magic, the kids are transported to 9/11 to essentially watch it happen as a point that, yes, we could stop this, but we shouldn't, because like
that's fucked up.
If you stop this war, 2 more will spill out from it.
Sure.
So it's like this really fucked up learning lesson of just like, you have these great powers, but you also have a lot of responsibility. What a great line. To like not intervene when you know that you can. Because there's like a thread of time, like a thread that it's all connected to. And if you fuck that up, so many more worse things are going to spill out from that.
Okay.
And it just rolls out from there, and it follows the character who is like the main Vanish guy, and he's hunting down these rogue wizards that like are portraying themselves as superheroes in our world, and
you're losing me. This is all starting to sound like gibberish.
Welcome to Vanish, baby.
Yeah.
So there's 2 worlds: magic world, our world.
Yep. Understood.
Vanish is from the magic world. He now lives in real world.
Yeah.
The real world has superheroes in it.
Okay.
And we find out
they're from magic world as well.
All the superheroes in our world are from this magic world because they fled from like this other big villain that's coming through.
Yeah.
But they're all magic bad guys, right?
The 7 that we are following in this book are. Most are not.
Oh, okay. All right.
Most are just wizards that have escaped from this magic realm into the real world just to escape from being killed in the
They're
magic
playing superheroes, but they're actually bad guys.
Bad guy
world.
wizards.
Yes, the bad guy wizards that Vanish wants to kill.
Are being good guys on Earth.
They're pretending to be. But
Okay.
there are other superheroes besides those 7. You know what? I'm talking to you, and I can see the glaze just fall on your pupils. It is very fun. It's a
All
fun
right.
comic. If
Yeah.
you read it, it's very fun. Everyone looks like they are a band member in Fear Factory. It is like just 90s dipped goodness.
You had me at Fear Factory. I mean, I was already reading it, but
You're right.
you had me
You
at
know when a
Fear
book
Factory.
opens with like a 9/11 scene, you're like, holy shit, we are just in for a ride, I guess.
That's how I knew that I would love The Boys. It's because, like, panel 2 of that comic is Billy Butcher sitting on a bench looking at the Homelander fly over, and he says, "I'm going to get you, you cunt."
Oh my god.
Vargas is
And I was like,
I need to pre-order this whole
well,
series, I think.
12 volumes. Here we go.
So I would recommend that. I also read, so we talked a while ago about a book called Lovesick out on Image.
Yeah.
It came out last week. This, I hate this word, but there is a trigger warning coming up for this conversation.
Yeah.
It is essentially Sexy Red Room by Ed Piskor.
Uh-huh.
It delves into like the dark web, torture room, snuff film stuff. It deals a lot with toxic masculinity
Uh-huh.
and like what is consent and like there's a strong BDSM sexual element, but at the same time, it's really aggressive with the message, and
Uh-huh.
I wonder how shallow the message is just to be
Like shock value.
to be shock value.
Mhm.
It is beautifully drawn. It is gruesome.
Artist who did Bolero, right?
Yes,
Which
exactly.
Is a beautiful book.
Yeah, and so it's done by Luna Vecchio,
Uh-huh.
and they did Bolero, and I mean, I just can't do it. I can't stomach that stuff.
Yep.
And so if you know that going into it, good for you.
Yeah.
It's going to tackle some really heavy themes, shit that I don't need to be reminded about and that I steer away from anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the talk of the town right now, my
All right.
friends.
I've got it coming in my next month's shipment.
Yeah. How many issues have you pre-ordered?
I don't know. Well, probably at least the first 2 at this point.
Okay.
Just because the covers are so striking. It's like you're like, I have to buy it to figure out what's inside.
And I think there's a purpose for that.
Yeah,
like
right.
it's supposed to be like a lure in
Uh-huh.
to these like incel characters that like want to be tortured and manipulated by this character, Domino. But I'm conflicted about how they go about it and like the tonality and where we're headed with this message.
Yeah.
Like if the message is all incels suck and if they're mean to people online they should be killed. I can't fully get behind that
murder.
vibe.
You can't get behind murder?
Call me crazy. Call me a lunatic.
Solving problems with murder and violence?
I mean, a good punch now and then, fine, but like this goes beyond. And granted, this is just the first issue, so it's supposed to be a little bit in your face, a little bit, provocative to get your attention. So that may change as the series goes on, but I had the same vibes when I finished Red Room of just like, not for me, dog.
It sounds almost to me like there may be a commentary on like a role reversal in like power fantasy and like torture fantasy with like the sort of people who typically
Totally
like certain thing being the subject of it.
You're not wrong.
in this
You're
book.
absolutely not wrong.
Yeah, but even still,
there's some allusion
intense.
to that the Domino character, who is the female dominatrix, has a weird history of like what led her to do this kind of stuff. So there may be some some stuff we don't know about yet. That
It's just a lot. It's just a lot to get through. That's like heavy and hard to read.
it's a very
to get to the point where you're like, did it have a message and a payoff for me to feel better about putting myself through it?
Yeah, because what exactly is the angle for this series?
Because I'll say like I enjoy like horror movies and things, but what I don't like is the sort of like torture stuff, and the same goes for like comics.
Sure. Yeah.
That stuff just kind of shakes me in a certain way that's not as fun.
Because it's so real and it's very visceral.
Yeah, right.
And like really raw. And that's what this book is, very, very raw. But yeah, so I don't know if it's much of a recommendation as like that. This is a very hot book right now of conversation.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Okay.
So
I am a basic bitch.
Go on.
So seriously, for anybody out there, I'm a sucker for Big Two comics. So
hey, same.
Most of my stack every week is Marvel. Most of it, the other part of it is DC. I don't read a lot of indie stuff. I'm just putting it out there. All
Nothing
right?
wrong with that.
Just laying my cards on the table.
Just trying to be real. So I read Star Wars High Republic, Volume 2, Number 1.
Oh, how was it?
It's great.
Okay,
it's
cool.
super fun.
Is Charles Soule still doing it?
No. He is in charge of the High Republic initiative. At Disney. Like,
oh, so he's up
He's
there.
like the architect of what's going on with the High Republic. So he wrote the first couple. No, he didn't write the comic. Kevin Scott still wrote it, but he wrote the first prose novel.
Yes, I remember that.
Somebody else, he kind of passed it off. He's writing The Blade, which is like a spin-off of this Volume 2 that's coming out soon.
Nice.
So he's involved very heavily in that he's like the architect.
Yeah.
But this issue...
He's like the Jon Favreau of the High Republic verse.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Right. Kevin Scott wrote it, and Ario Anindito.
That's okay. Last names are really hard on.
Well, I never heard
me.
of them before. But so it's very cool. If anybody read the first High Republic stuff, it's Star Wars, easily recognizably Star Wars.
Yeah.
But very fresh, very new, very exciting.
And that's something I loved about it because you didn't need the only back knowledge you really need is that like there are Jedis and they have like Jedi powers.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you know what a
mean?
lightsaber is?
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly right.
You can read High Republic.
Yeah, exactly right. And
Which one's Yoda?
part of the thing about Star Wars comics that can be intimidating is like I don't know if I'm supposed to have context for this or that.
Right.
Right.
And like, am I enjoying it the way I'm supposed to be? Like I kind of get in my head when I'm reading like deep in Star Wars stuff that's like at any given point of
the timeline.
The timeline. But
Isn't that what made High Republic so inviting? It's like
exactly
it's new
right.
for everybody.
Yeah.
No one knows what any of this stuff is.
Exactly. Except for Chuck. Charles.
Oh, I forget that you're on like that name basis with him.
Did you read Crimson Reign?
No. I've only read the mainline High Republic. So
Yeah.
I read the first 12 issues of Volume 1. I didn't read any of the subtitled stuff.
Yeah.
And then I read issue 1 of Volume 2.
Nice.
I heard that Crimson Reign. I think that's the name of this book.
That's the spin-off, right?
Yeah, I think it's a spin-off of High Republic, or maybe it's a little further in the future. But apparently they introduce Prince Zizor in it,
Sure.
who is a Shadows of the Empire novel character.
Yeah.
Who like
He's like green.
yeah, he was like a green guy, and that for me that was like always a character that I was like, why isn't he in any of the other things? Because as a kid I loved that.
He
book.
had a fucking action figure.
Yeah, right. He had an action figure, but like never showed up in anything else. So it was really like, I'm excited to read some Crimson Reign and see what the deal is with him.
Was Crimson Reign like focusing on villain stuff, or like the birth of the Sith era?
I'm not totally sure. I haven't read
Gotcha.
much of it. I think it's like a pod of like insurgents that are like trying to take down a portion of
Capital
the
or
empire.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. And they call themselves the Crimson Reign.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Is it?
To me, it is.
Okay.
And to our listeners,
I'm going to have to take your word for it.
Charles Soule's here just like, yes, it's very interesting. Oh, he's listening. He's a big fan.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for this next run. I hope they do another 12 issues.
Did you read Strange Academy Finals Week or whatever?
I've got it. I haven't read it yet. It's in my poll sitting at Clones.
So I read the first issue that came out. It's basically a refresher of the first Strange Academy series.
Oh man!
And then then the second half of the book kind of points you into the direction of where they're headed.
Okay.
But I forget how fucking awesome all of those kids look when they're doing their powers and shit.
Oh, dude, Umberto Ramos's art.
Oh my god,
he's
dude,
doing the art
so
for,
fucking
right?
cool. Yeah,
Yeah. It can't be beat.
no, it's so sick.
I bought my first Spider-Man comic, Spider Island,
Mm-hmm.
issue whatever it was, 666 or something
Mhm.
of Spider-Man, because of his art on the cover.
We talked about him last week on our 90s stuff. Like, he was a vibe for the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He kills it.
Big time.
Big time vibe.
We're over an hour.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to call it on First Issue Club. Ta-ta for now.
Bye.
First Issue Club is edited and produced by Mike DeStacy and Greg Lichtag. Follow us on social media at First Issue Club and check out our Patreon for videos, audio, and more at patreon.com/firstissueclub.